through, baby.
Yes, indeed.
You're
Welcome to another episode of The Discussion. I am the bad guy, CJ Dove.
and obviously, you know I'm the good guy, E-Dale.
E-Dale.
The good guy.
The good guy, obviously.
Obviously.
What's going on, my brother?
Oh man, a lot, man. I mean, you know, the day's been great. The last couple of work days been great.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm here with my partner, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Ready to entertain the people, man. Get the people some news out there today, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm on today. What about yourself?
Yo, it's a pretty good day. Busy.
Okay.
But I stay busy.
Yes, sir.
But, Mr. Charleston White.
Look, don't act like you don't want to dig into this, because I'm gonna need you to unpack this really good.
Well, it's several different ways to understand this. I'm debating on whether or not I should play the clip or should we just discuss it.
Play a partial of the clip so people will know what we're talking about. Just a partial. Give them a partial, and then look, because I got a strong opinion about this.
Well, brother Charleston White, I'm gonna give you a little.
Who is he first?
Backdrop.
Yeah.
Charleston White is basically a YouTuber who came into prominence off of a lot of his views. And to be completely honest with you, a lot of his views I happen to agree with.
Okay.
He speaks the truth.
Okay.
And in this day and time, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. They shy away from it. They would rather be told lies. But the reason why I started following Charleston White is because I liked a lot of the things he was saying.
Right.
He's a bit... he's apologetic, let me say that, about the things that he says. Mm-hmm. And this recent interview that he did, he basically said that, DMX died a shameful death by ODing. And I personally disagree with that, but I'm going to give y'all a little bit of this clip.
The last week and a half,
here we go.
You said some really wild Charleston White-like things about DMX. And some people look at it as distasteful because of the timely manner you're doing it. Yeah. He has 17 kids. Yeah. And although a lot of people agree with you, some people are like, yo, he has kids who are mourning right now. Why would you say that about DMX and call him the things that you're calling him when one of his kids could be watching your videos?
So you think they wasn't mourning before now? You think they hadn't been mourning before his death? See, a dope fiend dies long before he dies. Right? A drug addict does things to his family that when he dies, the family's not surprised. They ain't mourning. They expect death when you've been drugging and dope fiending as long as.
Okay, I think I heard enough of that.
Well, this is what I'm gonna do. We're gonna unpack it, and we're gonna take it
further,
section by section.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't want him to get too far before I get a chance to say anything, and forget what I'm gonna say, because I'm kind of slow. Okay. So I may forget what I'm gonna say, but look, I just want to ask you a question, right? And I'm gonna ask you this just based off being from the hood.
Right.
As a kid growing up, if your dad was a dope fiend and he died using dope or overdose or whatever, would people in the community see him as, would that be shameful to you? Would you be like, when people say that, man, your dad died of, you know what I mean? Well,
okay.
I'm just asking you.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
No, hold up. But I'm gonna finish. I just want you to answer before I finish, because look, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No. I don't. But see, the thing is, okay, I want to follow the timeline.
Okay, so look
of what he's saying. So this very first part of what he was saying was that the family was already mourning before his death, meaning that the hell
they put him through,
that a drug addict takes their family through while they're addicted to drugs. This part of the conversation, as somebody who's been in those shoes of having a family member on drugs,
I'm sure we all have.
I know exactly
Yeah,
what he is saying right here.
exactly.
And this part of the conversation, I agree with.
Well, I agree with that part of the conversation, but I don't know if I would have said that like at this moment.
Hey, okay, let's put that. That disclaimer needs to be first.
Okay.
Right? Me and E both agree that this is very poor timing.
It is.
To express these views.
It is.
So let's just say that first.
Yeah, it is very poor timing to express this view, right? And then he's saying he's not going to die a shameful death. His family's, the family's been mourning for long. Look, we've all had family members that has been on drugs. They're very bad, I'm sure. Right. Especially coming from our communities, right? I mean, that's not a unnormal thing. That's normal coming out of the community. But I don't know if I don't know. It's just because look, I understand you can put your family through pain, through drug habits and all of this, but look, those people still need help.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So who else they gonna run to if everybody turn they back on? I've said this several times on this show. If somebody has somebody turn their back on me and not really seen something in me, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Absolutely. I agree. And touche. It's the same, the same.
Yeah,
I feel the exact same way. So up to this point, the disclaimer is me and E both agree that it's not showing empathy at all for him to make these kind of statements at this particular time, regardless of whatever the truth is.
Right.
It's very, it's almost mean in nature. You know what I mean? It's not, there's no humility here. And that's one of the main issues that I have with this whole interview, is there is no humility in the things that he's saying. But you can be right and wrong at the same time.
Yeah, I think so.
And I see both sides of the argument.
Right.
But, to stay on task, because I don't want to veer too far off, up to this point, he's saying that the family's been mourning.
Okay.
As somebody who's been through that, E's been through it as well. We both agree with this part. Right. This okay. So let's listen to a little bit more.
What I said was the truth, and the truth don't care about feelings. Children's feelings, parents' feelings, or my feelings, right? So let's look at this. I'm born 1977. Whatever I do in between that dash is what people have a right to speak on the day I tap out of here.
Okay. We're going to stop that right there. Because once again, that's another truth.
It is.
Whatever you do between that dash, whatever year you was born and everything in between, on the day that you tap out of here, people have a right to speak on. Whether it's poor timing or not.
Right.
You may not want to hear certain things at a certain time. And the best advice for something like that is, if you're shameful of the things that you're doing, don't do them.
Yeah. But I mean, the family is not going to be shamed from him doing this. Family's just shamed because maybe it was just people and they wanted to help him. You know what I'm saying? So look, let's get some more of the video because I will go on because I got a lot to say about this.
Okay. You a dead gangbanger. So why wait till now to uplift failure when we die? I watched the versus battle between him and Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
Well, nobody.
We're gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna let you have the floor, E.
No, I'm just saying.
How you feeling?
Look, I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I've already been on record saying that I've been talking about this for the past day and a half. Look, I'm not saying he's untrue. I'm just saying the timing of it. I mean, I don't know what he stands to gain.
Look, I disagree with that point. I don't think DMX is going to be viewed as a failure.
No, not as I don't see.
Because that was the
he's
next
not a
thing
failure.
that he said.
Listen, I'm not viewing DMX as a failure. DMX wasn't a failure.
Right.
DMX was very successful in his career. Now, how he managed his wealth, that may be another topic. But I'm just saying, DMX was very successful as a businessman,
right.
hip hop, movies. DMX, listen, I don't even matter if he was on drugs or not or whatever, because you like DMX and you want to emulate some of his stuff. Everyone.
See, at the end of the day, this is what Charleston White failed to realize with this point. Even though he would be right and correct if he was talking about Stanley from Chestnut Street.
Right.
But we're talking about DMX here.
Exactly.
There is no difference in what DMX did. You can look at Marvin Gaye. You can look at Elvis Presley. You can look at, there have been several stars, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, the list goes on and on of people of that magnitude that have died of drugs, but we do not remember them
as failures,
as drug addicts, really.
I think that only goes for like people out in the neighborhoods and out. I mean, look, when we grew up in those areas like that, look, I'm gonna just be honest with you. If in the neighborhood growing up as kids, we can be pretty harsh.
Right.
See, you don't have these views. Most people don't have a lot of these views until they've been through a lot of things, or when they gained some experience, and you know what I'm saying, got older. You know what I'm saying? So look, as a child, if your dad would have died of drug dose, I mean, to me that would have been shameful. You know what I mean? Even just like now, I was thinking dying a gangbanger's death would be something cool. It's not cool.
Right.
It's shameful.
And I want to give a shout out to my to one of the Matt Williams in the comment section, who made a very interesting comment. Okay. You see his comment?
Yo, read it out.
Hold on.
You want me to read it? Which one?
I gotta put, make sure that I gotta hold it up close to me because my eyes is bad. Granddaddy stats.
You better get some glasses like me.
Matt Williams says the way he said it, went about it, was poor, but he was saying real things. DMX failed himself and his family by continuing to do dopes. When you have a wife and kids, life is better than yourself. Bigger than yourself.
Bigger than yourself.
And that is absolutely right. So in
correct.
that particular aspect, I agree with what Charleston White is saying.
Right.
He failed himself and failed his family.
I can't see. Look, that may be. Look, let me say this. Maybe that's true, right? I just think that the timing was horrible. DMX didn't get a chance to redeem himself. Because look, I'm gonna just give you myself as a scenario. I know I failed my family in the past. You know what I mean? But the one thing I can tell you, it took certain people loving me through that situation and through other situations to make me wake up. But I'm just saying, DMX probably had that. He just didn't get around to it, because sometimes, we prolong these things, and maybe the situation, how he was raised, and of course, being from New York City, one of the grimiest state in America, at one time anyway, I mean, especially around the time when he was probably being raised, I mean, you just never know about these situations. People are raised different, and like you said, you know what he's been through. I mean, it's hard for him. He probably, listen, I'm going to tell you something. DMX probably felt alone his whole life. Even when he was around the Rough Riders and had them as a family, he probably felt alone, even during that time.
And this is, to be completely transparent, this is somewhat of an emotional conversation.
It is.
Because a lot of people connect with music in their personal life. When they didn't know the man, so their connect with him is through music.
Right.
And it's hard for them to get past the fact that a man is flawed. A lot of people who have these strong opinions, they didn't have the opportunity to spend time with DMX.
Exactly.
The way that his children did.
Exactly.
The way his wife did. And dealing with somebody on drugs and knowing somebody on drugs, it is not an easy thing to deal with.
It's not, but
by no stretch of measure.
Let me say this. You know why? I mean, even though maybe a lot of the things he's saying is true, but you know why I don't like what he's saying, how he's saying? Because he's making it seem as if DMX wasn't loved by his family and other people. You know what I mean? Before his death.
And
that's not true.
And that's my problem with the whole. It's really not what he's saying. I don't think he took the time to, really say any kind words. Like, it doesn't matter if your brother was a drug addict.
Right.
Your brother did horrible things to you.
Right.
But when you have his funeral,
right,
we focus on the good things that person did. You don't see people at funerals, not often anyway, to go up there and start bashing whoever it was. We know that this wasn't a perfect human being.
Right.
And I think Charleston White did not take the time to even empathize with the family, or, show any sign. Like there was no mention of anything positive about DMX in this entire interview.
I agree.
Not saying that he had to,
right?
But I think it would have been an easier pill to swallow.
Well, no, if you're gonna go out on a limb that far and say some of those things, at least acknowledge his struggle with his demons and how he was trying to overcome them.
And we're gonna get into that in just a moment. Sean just made a comment. You want to read that one?
No, go ahead.
Okay. With me, with my non-reading granddaddy eyes. Let me see. Shout out to my main man, Sean. Sean says, my thing is this. Who is he to speak for DMX family?
Right.
That may have been his experience with the situation, but he doesn't know the buying connection and understanding X had with his family. F out of here. It's not on him to speak on them.
And that's all I'm saying. That I totally agree with Sean on that. And by the way, man, let me shout out Sean, because Sean always on the show and he's always engaged every Tuesday and Thursday. Shout out to you, big bro.
Yeah, that's the homie right there.
Look, I agree with what he's saying. He don't have no right to speak for them people family.
But
see, this the type of stuff that really gets people hurt. These things like this, what he's doing, that's the type of thing that'll get people hurt.
And I agree with what Sean is saying. I mean, there was no humility here. But at the same time, let's be honest. Social media is social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I know myself, whenever I'm going through a rough time, if a family member dies or something like that, I tap out of the matrix for a little while, because I understand that people are going to be people.
Right.
You're going to see all types of opinions, and I just got irritated, when DMX passed, and not from Charleston White, but just from seeing people comparing DMX to other people. And I'm saying to myself, like, why are they doing this? Like, why we just can't celebrate the man's life?
Right.
Why does it have to be a comparison? Why are we talking about his financial failures and all of these different things? And even this Charleston White thing, it didn't sit well with me. The reason I'm having this conversation about it was simply because I saw a lot of people were passionate about it.
Right.
And, this, unfortunately, as being a part of the media, it's up to us to cover certain things. But if it wasn't for that, the engagement that I've seen so many people have with this, I probably wouldn't even want to talk about it.
Right.
And give him this time of day.
Right.
Not based on, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but the timing is just awful.
It is, man. It is, man. So look, I mean, I could feel 100 ways about this. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you that, look, I'm not saying that what he's saying is right. Like you said, we've already established that. Well, I mean, what he's saying was wrong. We've established that. Look, the timing is just bad. I just don't think that, look, somebody's family members is very upset right now. It's almost like he's talked to their family, and you know what I'm saying? Like Sean is saying.
Right.
Like he talked to these people family, and they okay for him, gave him some stories, and okay for him to go out and do this. No.
But that's the power of social media. And unfortunately, that's the time we're living in where, I don't think a lot of people think before they do certain things.
They don't. They don't.
They just hit send.
They don't.
Whatever it is they have to offer the world, whatever their thoughts were, it's out in the public.
I would even say, look at it like this. Why can't people view it as, look, his struggle, we know he believed in the Lord because he expressed that, right? Right. Well, listen, and see, this is what I'm saying to people. This guy has not one time even through his worst of times, and you seen him struggled and shy away from it. And guess what he always did? He acknowledged the Lord in his life. So let's just say, hey, the Lord called him home before it became a time where he didn't acknowledge. You know
and some
of
this, like, to be completely honest, is what made DMX a great artist. Because he wasn't afraid to let you know that he was flawed. He wore his emotions on his sleeve.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people connected with that. And that's why there's such an emotional attachment to it when you see, I really believe, all based off some of the stuff I read today, somebody who did not know DMX at all. He never offered anything to them. I believe if they ran into Charleston White, they would do something to him.
They'll put them hands on him. Lay them holy hands on Charleston.
And it's just based on, like, you know, we certain things get us through certain moments in life.
Facts.
Music has always been there for me, and it's definitely, that's why I speak so passionate about music, because a lot of it got me through rough times in my life. And there is no doubt in my mind that DMX definitely made that type of music that probably touched somebody's soul and got them through a bad time, regardless if he was a dope fiend or not.
Right.
And for that reason alone, it doesn't matter if he owned his masters or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
Which was the next point that Charleston White was made. Even though I understand that point too. But if you could touch the souls of millions of people, you're not a failure.
You're not a failure. Listen, DMX is not a failure. But look, we got to always think that, look, this is already still is. Listen, we got to understand drugs tap into the soul of a person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And for that to happen, DMX still came out. It's not one person in the hip hop industry, whether it was a show or whatever, even with the Snoop Dogg verses, DMX never was afraid to put himself all the way out there.
And like I said, that's what made him a great artist.
He put himself all the way out there all the time. And look, y'all gonna miss that because look, you don't get authentic people too much anymore. So you're gonna miss that authenticity.
That's an absolute fact. So let's unpack a little bit more. We covered a lot of it.
Calling him great king.
Let me see. Let me fast forward.
Dying a dope fiend, homie. People gonna say you died a dope fiend. That's the pity of not redeeming yourself, homie. Can't nobody say Charleston is this. Because when they gonna look at my life, they gonna say, no, man, he been working with kids. With the stuff that he did as a child, man, I done redeemed myself from 1998 to now.
Okay, we kind of already covered that point.
Yeah. He just didn't get a tough time.
But because I do agree with that point. And if DMX was not DMX, it would be a shameful death. For anybody else. Like I said, if it was Stanley from Chestnut Street,
yeah, but
it would be, because you made the point early in the show where you said, you know, it was shameful. If you had a parent or a brother, sister, or cousin that was a crackhead, it was all, or even an alcoholic. You know, my grandfather was what you would call a wino. And, you know, as a kid, I was embarrassed when he came around.
That's all I'm saying. Who's not going to be embarrassed? What family's not? But the outside going to tease you and make you feel like it's really the worst thing in the world.
Now, once I got older, I had a better understanding of, you know, what it was. And I got past that. Like, yo, forget that. Yo, that's my grandpa's. But as a kid, it was hard for me to come to that understanding.
Yeah, because look, what about the mental illness that these people probably have been through and was trying to use drugs or drinking the coke?
I'm fast forward. We're covering a lot of it as we go. So we covered the failure part. We don't agree DMX was a failure.
He's not a failure.
Just based on how many lives he touched, and you know, and at this point, it really doesn't matter.
What does mean to black people when white people got all the rights to them?
But I did my own research and I did check. Jay-Z did not
try to get it. I seen
buy
the story
those masters.
I seen a story on that.
That story is not true.
Okay.
I did extensive research to try to find it. I could not find a credible source to verify it. So, and on top of that, all kind of other news with Jay-Z. So, if he did indeed did that, it would be big news. And unfortunately, up to this point, it's not true.
Yeah, I mean,
but I kind of agree with his point here. But at the same time, it still touched millions of people.
It did.
So the next point he made was,
we like getting hot.
now this part I agree with.
Some of us
so I'm
make
gonna let
choices.
this play.
And our choices is gonna lead us to the graveyard because we like our choices.
That's a fact.
We like getting hot. We like doing drugs. We like robbing. We like gang banging. And those choices have consequences.
Thanks.
Now, to be fair, he came out with a video. He did an interview and he spoke out why he does drugs. He said he was laced at the age of 14. So it was kind of like...
So when you molested at 14, do you still molest when you're 50? What happens to you as a child? Okay, that's fine and dandy. But at some point, I know plenty of people that smoked the mo, had a lace thing and didn't know it was lace.
That was a bad analogy. First of all,
but they didn't hold on to how it made them feel.
Okay, this right here,
that's a bad analogy.
We're gonna unpack this right here because I happen to speak with somebody who works in that realm dealing with addiction. There are no guarantee. If you're an addict, you're gonna always be an addict.
Right.
Everybody doesn't deal with addiction the same type of way.
Exactly.
Some people are stronger than others. And the way he worded this was like, you've been dealing with that addiction for 50 years.
Right.
It's time for you to get over it. Well, in some circumstances, that may be true.
Right.
For somebody, the family of DMX who was dealing with his drug addiction, to them, they probably thought the same thing. Because as somebody who dealt with having a family member who's a drug addict, I uttered those same sentiments.
Man.
Like, damn, like, yo, what is it going to take? When you feel like you've done every measure to help somebody get off of drugs, which is very mentally tiring.
It is. Because listen, you're fighting a mental war with a spiritual war. Drugs don't just take your mind, they take your spirit and your soul with it.
Right.
So listen, you're fighting a spiritual war. These things become spiritual once this thing starts place. Because look, let me tell you something. You fighting for someone and done everything you could to try to help them. And let's see, like nothing you does work.
When you feel like nothing is working. You kind of,
it's a spiritual battle.
You as the person who's offering the assistance, you get tired. It's mentally
I agree.
draining.
It is.
Especially when, DMX just happened to be a rich dope fiend. Or crackhead, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And once again, this terminology is not good, but we got to understand Charleston White is from Texas, I believe. I think he's from Houston. They have a different slang. To me, dope fiend, I always related that to somebody who was on heroin or whatever. But I get the point he's trying to make. A lot of people may be confused with the terminology. Mm-hmm. But DMX had a crack addiction. If you know anybody who had a crack addiction, all I'm going to say is
it's tough.
There is no telling what may occur. You could come home and all your valuables that you work hard for may be gone.
I've been through that a few times.
I've been through it as well, brother.
Come home and all your stuff gone. I've been through that. But look, let me say this, man. We look. Why people are here and we're saying these things. Look, let's see. These should be wake up calls, right? This right here, what Charleston White just did, should be a wake up call to the hip hop community, especially because we need to start treating each other better.
Right.
We need to start looking out for each other while we're here. Like
my grandmother.
Okay, so we basically unpacked the whole interview.
This guy here,
he got points that we agree with and points that we don't. There was no empathy, there's no humility to this interview. We both agree with that. Certain points he made, I completely agree with.
Right.
Then there are certain things where I'm kind of like, well, you're not really seeing the big picture here. But he's a YouTuber. This is what I expect from people who utilize these platforms.
Right.
So I'm not surprised at Charleston White for doing this because this just seems like something Charleston White would do.
He really went viral this time. He go viral. He goes.
Well,
on
he
YouTube.
got a few.
He got a few huge following. But listen, this right here, he's really outdone himself. I mean, look. My God, I mean, you act like this man wasn't even loved by his family. When you said that, the family was already in mourning before he died. Listen, I'm sure we put our loved ones through enough stuff where they be like, just damn. Right. But I mean, to say some of the stuff that he said at the time that he said it, I think it is distasteful. It's not. I mean, look, you can't empathize with the family saying these things at a time like now. You know what I mean? These people are mourning. You have people that's really mourning him, not just family members.
Fans,
and you got people that's been around this man that's probably tried to help this man. But you know, X ain't listening. X, yo. You know what I mean? Let me live my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So look, I don't like how he did this.
Me either.
I don't like how he did it. I'm not saying that what he's saying about drug addicts is not true.
Right.
I just don't like how he did it, and a lot of people will try to give him a pass on this. I can't do that.
I agree.
I can't give him a
very,
pass.
very poor timing, and I personally don't wish nothing bad on Charleston White.
Right.
I think he has a good message most of the time. He takes it to the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is definitely one where he kind of went over the edge just a little bit, just based on the timing and how everybody emotions are high. So that's the overall feeling on seeing about this particular time.